So how do you bid? Here's how you don't bid. You calculate your time and you do an hourly rate and you guesstimate. So let's just give me a reasonable hourly rate that somebody starting out might charge. What do you think? Okay, $50 an hour, so that's 8-hour day. Let's say for a 10-hour day, that's 500 because those numbers are more round, okay? So you're gonna charge $500 a day. So you guesstimate that it's gonna take you 10 days, keeping numbers really round. So that's gonna be $5,000. So $5,000 is the number you submit to the job. And they say, okay, go ahead and do it. What's the problem with that model? Well, that's not a business. There's no profit and there's no room for error. The way you look at it as a business person, as an entrepreneur, is how much would you have to pay somebody else to do that job? And that's how you bid it. And you have to pay yourself. Okay, so there's things that we're missing in here. So you have an artist and they're $500, right? That's pretty typical of a person who knows what they're doing. Okay? It can go much higher and it could go a little bit lower, but that's about it. So you look at it as that times, so there's a rate there, times 10 days. So your spreadsheet would look something like that, right? The name of the artist times the number of days. So this is days, and this is rate. And this is the title or job description, okay? And so then you would have a subtotal here. And what's the math on that, Frank? $5,000. Okay, so far so good, everybody's following me, right? Okay, so $5,000. Like I said, if you submit the bid for $5,000, you've done yourself a disservice. So who's managing that artist? And what if that artist takes longer than 10 days? Now you're paying for the job. So the first thing you can do is you need to mark this thing up. So you can mark it up to, what rate do you think you can mark it up to?
I'll say 600.
All right, 750. I like that number. So you're going to mark it up to 750, okay? Because artists always underestimate what it's going to take to do the job. Okay. So far, if you do it at 750, the new number would be 7,500. So if all goes well, which it never does in visual effects,
yes,
you'll have made an extra $2,500. You can send 10% of that to me. So now, who manages this person? Well, you have a producer coordinator. Okay, what are they a day? Let's say $400. And so they're gonna run that project for the duration of it, which is another 10 days. Okay, so now you're gonna come out at $4,000. Okay, that's a number that you didn't put in there. Now, whether or not you hire a producer and pay that amount isn't relevant. It needs to be in there because somebody has to manage the project. Right. So again, if you wind up producing the project yourself, that means you've made another $4,000 on top of the $2,500. So far, we're up $6,500. So initially, you were talking about having an artist at $500 a day for 10 days. So by the math, that would be $5,000. But the problem is, if you run into a problem, if things are delayed or you underestimate the job, you're now going to go into the red. So you cannot pay the person, and you cannot charge the same amount as you're going to pay the person. It doesn't make any sense. So there's two areas in which you can do this. One, you change the rate. And you can also change the number of days. But I like just working on the rate, okay? Because perhaps it's a hard deadline. In 10 days, this thing is due. So you can't just put more days in there, okay? There's a way around that too. So the difference there, just by doing this, is a potential profit of $2,500. The difference being from $5,000 to $7,500. Now you need to add in a producer because somebody's got to run the job. Somebody's got to look at the assets and manage the team. Okay, so the team is one person, that's fine. So I'll just put in there a rate of $400 a day. Mm-hmm. In Asia, you're going to pay a lot less than that. So let's assume that that's okay.
Yeah.
So at 10 days, that's $4,000 now. Okay, so who's going to direct this person, this artist? Oh, and that would be you. So I'm going to put in an art director. Okay, an art director, what are we going to put in for an art director?
I mean, I would say be like 700-800.
700-800 can be less than this guy. So if this guy's coming in at 750, I'm going to say 900. Now, we don't need to art direct this person every single day of the job. So you can just put in a random number there. Let's say 5. Okay? So let's say 5 days. And it's not that you're not working with him every day. It's just you're prorating your time across the length of the job. So there now, we're up to $4,500. So let's say that's pretty good. Now, if you need more artist help, I would put that in there. So are we good yet? Should we submit the bid? So we're at 16K. Remember, initially, you were going to come in at 5. So this is how you do a bid, okay? What else do you need in here? Are we good?
What about overhead? Utilities, rent,
right. You can't just show that in there.
Yeah, so how do you
put that in there? Okay, these guys, they don't work on paper. They work on a machine.
Oh, right.
And there's software attached to that machine, so I'm going to call it a workstation. Now, I can't charge for the laptop to do the bid, but I can charge for the PC workstation, the 3D workstation, okay? And I find a reasonable rental rate. Let's say $500 a week.
Okay.
I don't even think it's that much.
Yeah.
Because we rent computers. So $500 a week times 2 weeks, right? So now you have another $1,000 in here. So this number just keeps growing. What else do you have in there? Now I'm gonna roll in hardware and software costs because I don't want to delineate every single part to this puzzle, right?
Right.
So let's just do a subtotal now. So now you have $17,000. That's your bid now. Are we done? No, because now as a business, we need to make profit. This is where we cover our overhead and our stuff, okay?
Oh.
So profit is going to be anywhere between, depending on what country and where you're from and what industry you're in, can be anywhere between 10 to 30%. So you just mark that up. So let's just say, because my math is not so good, let's say it's 20%, okay? So we'll say 20% is our markup. And you just tell them it's markup, it's our profit. Everybody that runs a business understands that, because if you paid everybody, it still wouldn't make any money. So 10% of that is 1,700, so 34. So it'd be 33,400, right? So you can add that together. So now you're at $20,400 for this job. That's how you do a bid, and that's how you stay in business. Okay? There's a lot more parts and pieces to this, like a modeler. You can charge for rendering even,
Right.
because those are things that are out of your control. Does that help you understand how to do
perfect.
a bid? Now, those of you guys that are watching, and you just saw how we did a bid, if you wind up making an extra, I don't know, let's look at this again, because I want to make sure this is on camera. The difference between your initial bid at $5,000 now and your new bid at $20,400 is $15,400. You can send me a check, 10% of whatever that profit difference is, because I got kids, they go to private school, somebody's got to help me out with the bills.